I get finally, after a little bit of technical difficulties, I get to talk to John Malloy up there in Donegal, who's at the forefront of all these protests. John, thank you very much for joining me here today for a bit of a chat.
Hi, Declan. How you doing, man?
I'm
Great to see
doing
you. Great to see you in person.
well. I'm doing a little better than I should be doing because I'm 3 days into a 4 day fast just with water. So I'm missing at least one cylinder or possibly two, but I've still got six left. So I'm usually an eight-cylinder motor, so I'm good to go. John, I
Well,
want to cover.
I'm a flat four.
As long as it keeps ticking over and we can change from petrol to PVO, we're good to go.
So far, so good. Yeah.
Yes. Now, I want to cover a few things here today. I want to cover about the recent event down at Knock. I want to discuss about what you mentioned there about the fact that people wish to maybe form clans. The advantage of that is because more people would have more allegiance to their clan, perhaps abroad, than they would to a country itself. I have found that. Then, of course, we want to talk about the big meeting come up in the park in a few weeks' time, etc. So let's start off. The meeting that was in Knock was poorly attended, but it really was some fascinating people that did attend. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened at Knock there a week ago?
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you do these meetings or these protests, inverted comma, you don't know what or don't know who's going to be there till you actually get there. No matter how much you put it out online, and no matter how many people go, yeah, we'll be there, Knock needs this, and so on, you don't know till you get there. And when I got there, I had already programmed in some lads and people that I was going to meet at 1 o'clock. We had a sit down and we had a coffee and I had my lunch and all that. And we had a good chat. And the reason for that chat was, as you touched on there, about the clans of Era and about the 26th. So after that, then we went up as far as the opposite the Basilica, and there was a small crowd, but, and we had a harpist there, as you've probably seen from my
Yes,
video,
it was
right?
fantastic.
And it was very funny because what happened on the morning was that the guy that was supposed to be doing my sound and everything else came down with a bad bug. Now he's recovered, but he came down with a bad bug and it left me in a, oh my God, what am I going to do? Here's the scenario. But a friend of mine got in contact with the harpist and he was over in Galway and he had a PA system. And he said, look, I'm on my way back from Galway, but I have no car, but I'll hop on the bus Éireann and I'll get to Knock. And lo and behold, he got to Knock, and you know something? And it was really funny, right? The harp playing there, right, it was just mystical. It was absolutely, you couldn't have done it better. You couldn't have brought it together better. And you've probably seen a video that I put up with the harp playing in the foreground and so on. But with a small crowd there, but rather than doing up the street and whose street, our street, and all the bells and whistles and everything else, we actually we had a cup of coffee. We all talked. We held up the flags. We did everything that goes with that. Tom Moran was there, good old Tom Moran. He is such. I have. I learned so much from that individual every time I meet him, and he has huge respect for me, and I have massive respect from Tom. Tom has been there, done that, wore the t-shirt, sold the t-shirt and bought it back again, right?
Let
But
me inter-
we
let me inter- let me interject there for one moment, John. Now, you mentioned this fellow, this older gentleman. Could he actually be used as a sort of a figurehead to represent what we want to get back to? Because he is an unusual person. He's elderly, and but he still has the spirit. He's a sort of one of the a figure from the past in a sense.
he's like, I stand beside Tom, right? And I listen to Tom. And I think when I'm listening to Tom, I think I'm listening to my father, right? He's got that aura. And everything he talks about is things that I've seen my father doing when I was knee high to a grasshopper. And I've asked Tom about the 26th. And Tom is, as you say, the figurehead on the 26th. Tom has put together a full speech for that, and so on and so on. And going forward, Tom would be the figurehead, as you say, and we put paraphrase the figurehead there on that, for this type, for what we're trying to achieve. And what I'm trying to achieve, and what the ICT, the Irish Communities Together, which is what I stand for, is getting all communities together. No matter how small your community is, if it's only 700 people in your community, or if it's 20,000 in your community. And I say 700, we say Alexa Drummer I say 20,000, Alexa Betlone. Doesn't matter how big or how small your community is. Getting the clans within that community to get together in the community and bring the clans of Éire to the Phoenix Park. That's
now, it's fascinating you say that about this gentleman, because there is a few different groups of people trying to bring everybody together. And
yes.
It's when you're dealing with an Irish group of people, it's very, very difficult to bring them together, because everybody, of course, wants to run the show. That is the problem. So this one man could well be the little bit of a common intersection of the three Venn diagrams, if we know what a Venn diagram is.
Yes,
He's
I
right
do.
in the center. He's not one, well, I'm speaking, I assume he's not one, but he's not a person that has any, let's say, political ambitions like a younger man or whatever. He
No.
is maybe just the man for that position. And that's the position that we're all looking for, just to have somebody there as a figurehead.
Well, I touched on this when I was talking to him, and Thomas is actually a quite shy individual.
Even better.
Believe it or not, he, like, when I said this to him, like, his answer was, "Oh, I don't know. I'm not really the man for the job." Till I said, "Tom, you show me one other person on the 32 counties of Ireland that will come on a par to be the man for the job that you are."
Yes.
And he turned around and said, "Well, you know what? You're probably right." And I thought it was such a lovely way of him to say, "You're probably right." And he's gone home now and he's thinking about this and he's putting a full speech together for it. And that's where it's at. Now, I'm not going to push Tom as to be a big poster boy or any of that crap. I'm not into all that. He's not into that. We're not into that. You're not into that. It's just that we want to try. There's so much going on in this country. It's we'd need 48 hours to even just touch on it, to just touch on it. And like, even today, there's so much stuff coming to me on my phone about the government, about what they're doing, about stuff going on in Dublin, about stuff going on over in Carna, about stuff going on in Bundoran behind me here, and so on. And it's overwhelming. It really is overwhelming. You know, somebody sent me a video today from 2016 of Eamon Ryan and Dáil Éireann talking about the future and the way forward, and bringing, at that stage, I think there was about 5 million people in the country at that stage, but that by 2030 that they were going to have 10 million people in the island of Ireland. You know, unreal stuff. Like, there's no way we could sustain that. It's impossible. Forget about it. You know what I mean? And even right down, like, you know, I got another thing there today too about our NGOs and like that. I couldn't believe this statistic that there's one NGO for every 125 Irish.
Yes,
You
there's somebody told me once that there was 32,000 NGOs.
know, 30,
And
somewhere around 30.
to put that in perspective, that's 1,000 NGOs for each of every single county in Ireland.
Yeah.
There's more NGOs in Ireland than there is sheep at the moment. And
Yeah.
there's about as much
Well, I've just written down here, there's 125.
there's about as much brain power in both. Their equivalent in brain power, indeed.
You
But
see,
hopefully
the
those
biggest,
NGOs will be reduced.
to any of the American public out there that are watching this or that will be watching this. We have a huge problem here. And we're personally calling for any Irish that are in America to look at what we have and look what's happened to their beloved country. It's in a heap. And the way the government is going at the moment, in 5 years to 10 years' time, max 10, we're going to be a minority by a big shot in this country. And that's something that I don't think any Irishman, no matter where they're living, wants to see happening in their home soil. So we have to, Declan Kelly, John Malloy, Corkies, Tom Moorens, all us have got to get the clans together to get them into the Phoenix Park, to get them up as far as the president's residence, because he's a complete sellout. We all know what he is at this stage, right? So the question we're at, what we're demanding, and it's got to the stage now, we're not asking anymore, we're demanding that he dissolves the Dáil and he steps down from his position. Now, by dissolving the Dáil, people are asking me the question, well, what are you going to do next? Irish people are very resilient. We have an awful lot of brain power in our country, in business people and so on, that the reins can be taken there. Like Conor McGregor, for instance, and I wouldn't be a huge fan of Conor's, right? But at the same time, Conor has done something that no other Irishman has done in a long time. He has got the world talking about Ireland. He brought up the narrative of what's going on in his home country. Now, I know there's people saying he should run for president and everything else. That's a different ball game altogether. That's, we're not going to go down that road. But he has done something for Ireland, and for me personally, and you personally, he's got everybody asking the questions. What's happening? Why are we sitting back? The world is laughing at Ireland at the moment. The world is laughing at the Irish people because we're not standing up, because everybody seems to be too afraid of being called, racist or right-wing or whatever, all those words that are thrown at you all the time. So what we're trying to do is get everybody away from all that and get them to the Phoenix Park.
Yes. Well, as regards Conor McGregor was a fellow from a very modest background with not much going for him in life. He took his skills and he was able to magnify his skills and multiply them many, many times and generate what I'm told now to be a financial empire of almost 1 billion euros.
Yeah.
And yet there's people throwing him down and throwing him asunder and saying he's this, that, and the other. He's Ireland's version of ABBA in a sense. That fellow did something else, and he generated more wealth for Ireland than every single one of the 174 politicians in Dáil Éireann. Now, he may not be the most eloquent or whatever. That's neither here nor there, but if anybody, he has done a fantastic job. So nobody should be running down Conor McGregor. We'll see how it goes, and I wish him the best. As regards the thing,
well, anybody that's done what he's done should not be knocked. Look, there's an old saying, and you know the old saying, yes. Like every saint was a sinner, and every sinner could be a saint.
Yes, that's Saul's journey to Damascus. He converted himself and became St. Paul. He's reformed.
So if anybody out there knows Conor McGregor or whatever the case is, can you get Conor to get in contact with me and get him up to the Phoenix Park? There's a personal invitation at this stage.
My own brother is a good friend of Conor McGregor. Not the brother you know, but a different brother. And they have a little bit of a business dealing together, etc. But I cannot get into that. But yes, we know Conor McGregor more than we might be willing to admit or divulge or whatever. But Conor McGregor.
Well, you have my number. And I'm dead serious, because what we do need is, we need genuinely, we need somebody like Conor McGregor there to, you know, we need that thing. We need, like, can you imagine, just in your mind's eye, Conor McGregor and Tom Moran standing under that Masonic emblem in the Phoenix Park?
It would be a magnificent combination of youth and
Oh man,
wisdom.
I'd die happy. I would die happy.
Well, yes, dying happy is always good. We just need to postpone it for as long as possible, perhaps.
True, true.
Now, hopefully, the Phoenix Park is just a bus ride in a catchment area of covering maybe 1.5 million people. So we would hope to see a decent crowd. And this really is my feeling that this is going to be the last really protest. People are somewhat exhausted from
Yeah.
the protest. This is the do or die moment now. So there's no excuse for not being there. Don't be waiting for the next one or the last one or any other one. This is it in the
No.
Phoenix Park, and it's right beside ours, and this is the way to go.
Well, like everybody, sorry, an
Now,
awful lot of people are calling for a public protest. An awful lot. And this is the look at, either to get up now and get up, get out, put their feet on the street, get up to the Phoenix Park, or stay at their doorstep and stay at home. That's their choice.
yes, this is very convenient. I know that Corky and others went all the way down to Rosslare. What a heck of a miserable drive that was. People are going to Knock from wherever, Arklow or whatever. It's
Well,
this one
sorry,
now is central. It's convenient. There's no excuse.
well, it's got bus routes, it's got
Yeah.
train routes, it's got everything. And like you were talking about Knock, there was I think it was 16 or 17 different clans from 7 or 8 different counties in Knock. Cork, Armagh, Dublin, Galway, Leitrim, Donegal, a little bit of Mayo, only a little bit of Mayo. But that'll just show you, in a small area like that, what could be done in Dublin.
On Facebook, I'm a member of 3 different
I'm
groupings
losing, I'm
of
losing
the
connection.
Kelly clan. There's actually thousands and thousands of people on these groups. It's amazing the catchment that they have. So if there was a clan of, I know there's another family, I know a friend of mine is Mannion, and these people get together once a year, a good number of them. I think they meet down in either Minla or Moylaw, which is close to one another in County Galway. So the clan affiliations could be an absolutely fantastic idea to form allegiances, especially if society begins to become somewhat haphazard back there.
Our connection is quite bad
No, the
at the
connection is
minute,
fine.
Stephen.
The connection is fine as far as from my end. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you fine, and I can see you fine. You didn't shave
Okay, for
this
some reason I
morning
can't.
either.
So look, hard day's work, man.
How does work? I remember back.
Anyway.
I remember back in the 80s when I did my last one.
Oh no doubt, I see. Could still do as much as an awful lot of the young people out there.
Perhaps, but not recently.
And speaking of the young people out there, um, we're doing this for them. We're doing
Yes,
this for the young people.
that was my next question. What drives you to such exertions that this now has, since I've been paying close attention to it, this has really occupied your entire life as far as I can see. What actually drives you in this um, I won't call it a venture because it's not a venture, but I would call it an ordeal actually more than a venture. But what drives you to continue?
What drives me is a couple of things, right? My grandfather, my father, my sons, my daughters, and my grandkids. I don't want to die leaving a legacy behind me that they would look at and go, What? Why? Look where we are. Why didn't somebody do something? I'd like to leave a legacy behind us that they're looking in the history books and going, fair play to those people in 2025. They got up, they stood up against a regime, not just one in Ireland, but a European regime, and they won. And that's what's burning in my belly. And that's like the fire pit that we light at all our protests, to light the fire pit of the turf of Ireland, to light the fire in the belly of the Irish people.
So you see yourself as a link in a chain going back hundreds, if not thousands of years, and hopefully will continue, if we succeed anyway, into thousands, into millenniums of years as well. And you do not want to be that link that failed in that chain. You wish to put,
That's where I'm at.
that's it.
You can. That's exactly it. That's exactly. I'm only a little link. I'm only a little cog. I'm on. Look, I'm no leader. I'm none of those things.
No, but we're
But I've
just
just
talking
got a
about
passion.
your own family, your own chain, not anybody else's chain. Your lineage, your father. You said there. Another video I saw that you mentioned that your grandfather was shot by the cross, and this, and it goes back into antiquity. And you now are the link that's been in play, and you must not be the link that will fail in this chain.
Correct. Correct. Like I have sons and I have grandsons. My youngest grandson, he's only well, he's 3, 4 months old now. Well, a great kid. But I don't want, as you say, I'm the link in that chain. And I don't want to be the broken one.
Yes. You mentioned you made a beautiful video there. I wasn't able to put it up because it was a bit too technically challenging for me. Uh, on the cross, the Celtic cross, and the shooting took place at the Celtic cross. I wish you'd go down and just remake that video because it'd be a classic.
Well,
Now,
I will do.
as
I
regards,
want to go down and I will go down and remake that video, but I want to bring I want to bring my flags with me.
absolutely, and perhaps have somebody help you and go down with you and hold the camera and do your piece or
Yeah.
whatever. Now, the Celtic cross is a symbol of Ireland.
Oh
And
yeah.
some years ago, 4 years ago, I think it was, but I lose track of time. It could be 4.5 or 5 or whatever. I decided to design a silver coin and hope to give you one of those when I see you, if I ever do see you in person.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you.
it's based on the legend of Círnan, and it does feature a Celtic cross. And I'll hold it up here now to the camera so you and everybody else can see it as well. All right, let's get it up there. Can you see that?
Absolutely, that is fabulous.
Now,
That is
this
fabulous.
this is so shiny that it looks as if you're looking through it into the computer, but it's
Oh,
actually a
that
reflection.
is just fabulous.
I want to give them to the leaders of a movement that we can put together, if we can put together. You'll be one, the other men that we mentioned, Tom, will be other, and of
That is
course there'll be
beautiful.
another,
That's
etc., etc.
really, really. That
It
is
has
absolute class.
it has the Om writing down the stem that spells era, EIRE. That's in Om writing. And on top, you have the pagan trinity. In the center, you have the shamrock. Now, the other side of the coin, as I said, it's modeled on the legend of Círnan. Where's this camera here? So you see
Oh
here,
yes. Yeah.
oh my goodness, I need to, okay, there it
Yeah.
is. You see,
That's
Tishkilling, it is Oisin agus Neve ag dul tasna an arga goji Círnan. That is Oisin and Neve going across the ocean to Círnan. Anyway, I got a number of these minted, and
that's
it is,
fabulous.
of course, solid silver. I
That is
believe,
fabulous.
I believe if these clans were to get together and organize themselves a little bit more, it's not it's not impossible for each clan to have minted their own coin. I could help them out here. I know the company that mints them, etc. They're not they're not cheap because they're solid silver. The cost today of a coin would be about maybe $2,000 to get the dies produced. And then each coin thereafter would cost about $50. The value of the silver in a 1 ounce coin is, of course, the price of silver and on any particular day. And today it's about $35 a coin. But that is something a clan could consider doing themselves. Now, that's something to think about into the future. And there's a lot of problems with trying to buy silver coins in Ireland. They they make it very difficult because they put
There's an awful problem trying to. It's an awful problem just trying to find money in Ireland because it's all going in a different direction.
Well, we know the direction it's going. It's going from the Irish person to somebody else. It's not easy
Yeah.
to, it's sorry, it's not difficult to understand how the
Oh, it's
system
not.
is made. Uh, People, they're sort of sly. They're giving money to some, but they will say, "Oh, what business is it to you if somebody else gets money?" But the pie is finite; it's 100%. If you give to some, you are actually reducing from another. Now, they may not be able to figure it out, but that is the situation as it is.
But you see, the Irish people, right? We're a very giving nation, and we like to help out whoever we can, whenever we can, however we can, and that's seen in so many different occasions when we have fundraisers and all that sort of thing. Even like in our own community here, in the community alliance that I run here in Bundoran and Donegal, there's a young lad killed here last year by a driver, drunk driver, um, and he was only 11 years of age, about 9 o'clock at night. And we've just after doing a fundraiser there now for Ronan Wilson, is the young lad's name, and we've raised €1,000 for him. Now, the €1,000 is only for one particular purpose, and that is for a park bench that his mother wants to get and put where the young lad was, or where he passed on, and put it there in Bundoran. So that's just little things that we're a real given nation. But what's irking everybody at this moment in time is that they're getting more than maybe the fair share of what should be given. And the reason why I say that, I was talking to an elderly gentleman today, 78 years of age, and he was after coming out of the chemist with a big load of prescription stuff on him. And I said to him, "My God, you're going to stay, that'll keep you going for a while. That'll keep the old ticker going." He says, "That's after costing me €32." And I went, "What?" I said, that's, he said, "No, I have a medical card, but everything that I got there, I have to pay €1 per item for." Now, the normal person out there with a medical card is paying $150 an item. But the economic migrant that's coming in here, they have medical card. They're paying absolutely zilch, nada, nothing for their medical stuff that they get across the counter. And that's where we feel that there should be a level playing field on all this. It's not fair. So we're being sold out, our sovereignty, all these things are being sold. We've been like, the tail of the dog is wagging, but he's not barking as far as the Irish people are concerned.
Well, as you know, I have another small YouTube channel called Common Sense. I hope to push that and I hope to get something there. That would be the slogan for any political party that I'd be involved in going forward. And I will be pushing common sense. And you're talking about immigrants coming in and getting this, that, and the other. The most bizarre example of that would be perhaps where some people will get their hairdressing um, jobs done for free. I did see a lady on some YouTube chat or whatever complaining
That's right.
that five Ukrainian ladies got their hair done,
I was
and
just about to bring that one up.
it was 100 euros
Each.
each, and that's $500.
Yep.
I used to own a tavern one time, and if I took in $500 in the course of the entire day and had to listen to drunks for 15 hours, it'd be a good day. $500 just to get their hair done is absolutely amazing. It's absurd. And of course, then there's some other African ladies that need to get their braids done or whatever, and that
But
God only
did you
knows.
get the end of that video? Did
Sorry,
you get the end part of that video
I'm
where
not sure. I'm
they,
not.
Yeah, the girl asked them, give them, said, look, okay, that's €100 each after getting their hair
Yes.
done and everything else. And they said, no, we don't pay. And she said, what do you mean we don't pay? And she said, we don't pay. She said, well, we need to get paid for doing the job and materials and time and so on. She said, okay, 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 hang on one moment. And she went outside the door. She made a phone call. And within 30 seconds of that phone call, there was a person at that door of the salon with a check from Irish Red Cross.
It's
That in itself
unbelievable.
tells a tale.
Now,
But
granted,
you do know that the guy, you do know that they're getting their cars and everything repaired
yes,
at the cost of the state.
I'm well familiar with it, and of course, needless to say, there are greedy garage owners that are now going with the scam as well, and
Oh, yeah.
the price might be inflated by €2,000, one
Yeah.
thousand for you, 1,000 for me.
1,000 women. Yeah.
And I did see a garage owner that was a patriot and a well more an honest man, we'll put it that way. And he says, "There's no way I will make whatever I make by my sweat of my brow. I won't steal from the government." But he did say that he spoke to something like 12 other people in that business, and they were all in on the scam. And that is
Yeah.
that is something
And
else.
that's, look, there are very solid Irish people, but there are, look, it's in every country. The other ones that the money grabbing people, that they're there. You know what I mean? So, but look, going forward,
Yes,
going
let's
forward,
discuss going forward. What is there a game plan to put together an alternative political party? I am in contact with numerous people and they all have different ideas. This is the fellow, that is the fellow. No, we're going to form another thing altogether. What is your what is your opinion on forming a brand new party altogether from
well,
scratch?
again, like I was involved, as you know, going back with the Irish people, and which said Alan Fagan and company, and um, the idea there was to, at a local level, was to just to show local people that there is alternative. It was our first time out. We did okay. Some of us did great. Some of us did not so well. But it was going against the cartel or the regime or the local cartels or whatever. Um, Going forward, something's going to have to be done, and I mean rapid fast. I mean really quick. There has been different groups, different independent groups amalgamating, and suddenly, as quick as they amalgamate, they seem to disappear. And the reason why they're disappearing is very simple, and it's something we touched on earlier: egotistical. Egos, egos, egos. Everybody wants to be the leader. Nobody wants to be the follower. And that's what's wrong in Irish politics. We should all be together, shoulder to shoulder, going through the barricades and going through the political system as a unity, as one people. Somebody has to bring it together, but whoever brings it together mustn't bring it together on the premise of, well, I'm going to be your leader.
Exactly. Now,
Like,
I'm
there's an awful lot of very solid, independent um, councillors or independent people out there that could do this. But you've got to stay away from the whole ego thing and just think of Mother Era. Tell me how egos down the line, the way down the line.
yes,
Now we have to save the country.
I would very much agree with that scenario. Sure enough, um, that is fascinating. So we know what a lot of some people that I speak to have sort of given up on the electoral system altogether. They say it's rigged or whatnot. I would well suspect that it is rigged, but it's easy enough to unrig it. The secret is the secret vote. People have got to say, I don't care if anybody knows who I vote for. You have counters or spotters or whatever in a local national school, and let's say there's 250 people voting. At the end of the day, they have figured out every single vote and who they voted for on that
A hundred
night.
percent, 100%.
Now, let's say if you have a voting station and you have a patriot at that voting station, and as those people come out, anybody that's on our side will say, put me down. I voted for John Malloy, put it down. I know it's illegal to take a photograph of your ballot paper, but in the bigger scheme of things, that's not exactly capital murder either. So
No,
that would have to be, there's a lot of things that has to be done to outsmart these people because they're not very smart at all. They're just following, reading the memo and doing what they're told. They're actually, as generations go by, they're getting dumber and dumber. And that's why we have the politicians leading us that we do today.
correct, correct.
So that is,
Well, the last election, and look, I'm just call a spade here, right? The
yes,
last election was rigged big time, left, right, and centre. Local elections were rigged big time. I know that for a fact. I know, and there's been an awful lot of candidates in the last general election that were in certain areas, and they only got one vote in certain areas, and you ask yourself the question, hang on a minute, that can't be right. They must have got more than one. Of course they got more than one.
of course
We
they did.
all know they got more than one. Um, Another lady, as you know, down in County Kerry,
Yes,
she's battling that as well. And a great public speaker and a lovely lady. But and she's got together so much uh, shall we say, documentation from people that we actually did vote for you, and we know, and so on. But she's bringing all that together. But the problem is, look at that's past tense. The past
correct.
tense is
You
that these
took the words out of
parasites
my
are
mouth.
in. These parasites are in. And we've got to get these parasites, and that's what I will call them. And I don't mind calling them that. I don't care what anybody thinks of my calling them that. They're parasites to the Irish people. We have got to get them out one way or another. Now, people say, oh, look, go to the Dáil and bust the Dáil gates and go in. You can't do that. There'd be too many, that's null and void. Null and void
Yes,
because
that
people
is
are going to
totally
get,
null and void.
yeah, people are going to get incarcerated for that. And nobody wants that to happen. So what we got to do is we got to go the legal-ish route, which is, as I say, going to the Phoenix Park and demanding and giving a time frame on this. Like Conor McGregor turned around and said they had 12 days, or he was going to blow a can of worms wide open. That 12 days, I think, it could be nearly up. And I'm so waiting with my cup of coffee or with my popcorn. I'm waiting to see what in the name of God he's got rolled up his sleeve like. You know what I mean?
Hopefully, my
So,
fast will be over by then, so I can join him with a scone.
well, look at, the 26th of April to me is not just to me, but to Managus and Fernahearn and to the clans of Ireland. It is the most important day in the calendar year of 2025, as far as I'm concerned, because that will show me and it will show you and an awful lot of people whether the Irish people are taking this on the knee with their arse up in the air, or are they getting up on their feet and they're getting out there and saying, enough is enough. We, the people of Ireland, are now speaking,
Yes, well,
and that's the way it's got to be.
if this does not result in a decent turnout, I think fellows like us should go back to the situation where we must consider planning up, to use that term, and protect ourselves from that point of view. That then would be a different scenario.
Yeah.
Most people are not on board with this situation. Most people do not want to accept reality. Most people just are afraid to understand that what's coming to them is what came to the people of Syria just 2 weeks ago or whatever. They just don't want to deal with this at all. I did see, it was very interesting. I saw a clip there of Alan Fagan. He was making a speech. This now was months ago, of course. He was making a speech, and it was a very good speech. But he was approached by a lady that gave him some grief or whatever about emigrating and whatnot. And her point was that Irish people were not immigrating from war, so let's give these people a pass. They're not immigrating from war as well. But her big thing was she, instead of just walking by and ignoring him, like perhaps she should have, if that's her mentality, she just felt the need to put in her nose into his business. What was going on there is human psychology. She subconsciously did not want to face what this man was bringing into her reality. She much prefers to exist in her fantasy land of a utopia. And this fellow was cracking that facade, and that set her off. And that's why she had to make that interruption. Now,
Well,
the
we had the
thing is,
same. Oh, well,
yeah,
I didn't most protests, but we had the same thing up in Knock. Two or three individuals came over and asked the question, "What are you doing?" And we
yes,
told them what we were doing. Straightforward, told them exactly what we were doing. Oh, you're that racist crowd,
yes,
and that's what
an
we got.
unbelievable anger, and that is the reason for that anger is they subconsciously fear reality. We had something very similar. Now I don't like mentioning names, but I will mention this lady, Idel Gillick. Gillick.
Oh yeah,
She is a fantastic woman. She is unbelievable,
brilliant woman.
and she went down to Kildare town, and she was doing a leaflet handout on the dreaded, you know what. She was met with such hatred, and according to her, some fellow decided to set his dog upon her. The reason that does not make any rational sense at all until you understand that these people are in fear because they subconsciously know that Edel Gillick is correct and they don't want to handle this at all. Now, that's a different situation, but it's the same
The,
psychological process that's
the
involved.
other the other problem, of course, is, and it's blatantly obvious. RTE, RTE broadcasts out to all over Ireland. An awful lot of the older generation will have to stick on the 6 o'clock news, or we have to stick on the 9 o'clock news to see what's going on, right? And all they see that's going on is, as I say to everybody, they have these guys in Dáil Éireann sticking the two fingers up at the general public. We see that. The older people don't see that. The older people see these politicians who go home, they close their electric gates, they put on their security system, they turn on RTE News to see how good they look today to the general public. And that's what the elderly people, unfortunately, are seeing. They're not seeing the stabbing in Dublin. They're not seeing the girl who ran along the canal and was attacked. And all the other things like that. They're not seeing the single unvetted men coming into the country. They're not seeing what's going on in Athlone, Ballina, whatever. They're not seeing any of that. And may I just add a thing in here as well? All these single men, I meander here slightly, but all these single men that are coming in here, for years, 4 or 5 years, we were told we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't do anything, we had to get vaccinated, we couldn't see our dying mothers in the hospital, we couldn't bury our dead, and so on, and we took it on the chin. But since you were a cub and since I was a cub, we have been vaccinated with MMRs, pox, rubella, measles, God knows what we've been vaxxed. All these single males that are coming across the north or across the borders and everything else, not one of them, I would say, not one of them is vaxxed. So what are they bringing into this country that we have no idea about?
Well, I don't know
Now, I
what they're
know that's a
bringing.
different scenario, but
I do not know what they're bringing into this country, but I do know one thing. It will not be protected and prevented by wearing a mask because those
no,
masks are not going to protect you from what these guys are carrying. These guys are carrying, somebody actually referred to them as a biological weapon
yeah,
of
that's
mass
exactly what they are.
destruction.
That's,
But we
and
cannot go there because
we
otherwise
can't
we'll,
go there But
we'll get crucified by somebody.
yeah, but that's the stark reality of it. Look at very simple at this moment in time. Like a relax you slightly. At this moment in time, we're in a heap. I know that, you know that, and there's a percentage of people out there in different groups, in say no groups, in my own group, in the ICT, and so on. Corkies, all these people, we all know we're in a heap. Our major problem, our biggest problem, is getting that into the head of the people. One person says to me, John, why are the people not coming out? Like last September, the 19th, in Dublin City, of a Thursday at 2 o'clock, I, along with a couple of other people, Teresa and so on, we got 7,500 people through the same no groups and everything else to go from the GPO to Dáil Éireann. And then on the way back, then we took O'Connell Bridge and we were pepper sprayed and God knows what. But hey, that's a story for a different day. But since that day, and everybody said to me that was a great day. 7,500 people of a Thursday afternoon, 2 o'clock in the day was a great day. A sea of flags. My son walked with me, proud as punch of being an Irishman, and I was too, and always will be. But since then, every protest I've seen has just gone dip, 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 down. People are asking me, why? I'm asking myself why. I'm asking Declan Kelly why. I'm asking everybody why. But nobody has an exact answer for me. People are saying because they're afraid of being called racist, because they're afraid of being called right wing, and so on down the road. To hell with it, Declan was trying to save our country. Get up your ass and get out and save it.
A lot of people will find it economically difficult to travel from Clare up to Dáil Éireann, etc. You can do this once, you can do it twice, and also remember the fact now that this has been going on for 10 or 15 years. We had a lot of protests with the water charges, we've got a lot of protests with other things, agricultural, etc. So it has worn the people down for the protest route. Our future, I believe anyway, is electronic, it's information. It's not necessarily many more of these marches, one or two perhaps, but we got to get one person to the next person, one by one, bit by bit, as the economy gets a little bit more difficult. God forbid, you mentioned there are a lot of rapes and things. It's getting more and more in your face, and more people are coming to understand that there is a problem. I believe the last election there in November, whenever it was, that's 4 months ago. A lot in the public perception has changed in that 4 months, and people have really just have to look at it and say, you know something, these guys have a point. I'm seeing it all over the place. I saw a ridiculous statistic there the other day from Listron Varna. You know, the old fellow, the
Yeah.
foolish fellow with the bower on that plays Listron Varna. I understand he's all in favor of Palestinians coming in and whatnot. But the bottom line is the population of Listron Varna are 35% Irish and 65% foreign. There's something like 600 people from Listron Varna, and there's something like 1,300 people shafted into their midst. And
Yeah.
that is, if they don't wake up at that situation, well, they might as well stay listening to Christy Moore, for as far as I'm concerned, because they're a lost cause. John, we will sort of call it a day at this stage because we have had a very nice conversation of 49 minutes up there on the clock, and hopefully I've got no technical glitches. And
Declan, before you go, right?
yes,
Before
I
you
hope
go,
to give you a chance to chat there at your leisure.
before you go, Declan, I just want to thank you, right? Because I've been sending on videos to you and you've been putting them on different places and everything else. And you've got an audience for the ICT and for myself and for the Irish people out there that we wouldn't have had only for you. And for that, my dear friend, on behalf of the Irish people that's seen your channel and everything else, thank you.
Well, it
And I
has
mean
been a
that so sincerely.
it has been a pleasure, but it fills a void as well because I have the same feeling that I have to be that link to do my part. And
Thank you.
Going back to the Battle of Clontarf, of course, we lost Brian Boru. He was the second biggest Irish casualty. Not many people know this. He was the second most important Irishman that was killed at the Battle of Clontarf. The most important Irishman that was killed at the Battle of Clontarf was the O'Kelly chieftain of Emonia, which is in eastern County Galway. His name was Tig Kelly, O'Kelly. He was killed as well. He was the other big Irish king that was killed. In my opinion, now he was a better man than Brian Boru, of course, but I could be a bit
Well, I
biased.
suppose, well, he would be because he's a Kelly. Like, come on.
Exactly.
I know,
As well,
Declan.
we
You
know,
know, I am.
we know it has been recorded as well what his last words were. Do you know what they were? Where the hell is Malloy?
He's talking to the Kelly book. No, Declan, thank you. And to all the Irish people out there, that you be in America, no matter where you are, if you're watching this, um, don't forget Mother Era. And we are trying to help out Mother Era. She's weeping at the moment. We want to dry her tears and make it a safe, happy place for future generations.
Yes, I'm trying to get some people here to donate a little bit of money to the cause, and we'll see how that works out. That's for a different video, etc., etc. John, thank you very much, and good night to you.
God bless you, my man. Thank you. Slán leat.
All right, John, that we're still there. Now that is that, and it's uploading, etc.